Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Motivation, the show where we dive headfirst into the most amazing minds. My guest today is an unbelievable guest with qualifications that are really through the roof. He is one of the leading urologists in the country and one of the leading experts in our topic today, which is men's mental health. It gives me great pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Salim Choonara. Assalamu alaikum, doctor. How are you?
Walaikum salam, Mohammed. I'm very well, thanks, in yourself.
Alhamdulillah. Doctor, I want to get into our topic. It's a really touchy topic. It's the topic of men's mental health. You deal with men on a daily basis. You see them from a very personal point of view, and you have dealt with men's mental health issues for many years because it is in your industry something that is so integral, that is so important. You know, they say that everything psychological is biological. And I want to know, in terms of men's mental health issues, what are the biological aspects that affect the psychological aspect of a man, if we can get into that?
Yeah, so I think the first thing that we can talk about there is, as the male is aging, naturally what's going to happen is that the testosterone levels are going to come down.
Right.
That's a phenomenon of aging. It's going to happen to men as they get older. And that in itself is because if you think about it, testosterone and estrogen are sort of on different parts. The estrogen being sort of the predominant female hormone. So testosterone being the predominant male hormone, naturally, if we're going to get biological changes, it's going to come from that, because that's like your signal, that's like your overall riding factor that keeps you functioning as a male. You know, I mean, that's obvious.
Okay.
So a low testosterone level is going to have wide and far-reaching impacts on the entire function of this male. Not just only from a sexual effect or sexual function, etc., but far-reaching. You know, their general health status, their mood, their energy levels, their strength, their mental state. You know, their ability to get through their tasks, their memory, their recall. You know, I mean, it's a global functioning of this so-called breadwinner or leader or guy who's in charge of his family, you know, and he needs to be functional.
Okay.
And the testosterone is key to that. There's no doubt.
So surely things like stress and that have a major impact on testosterone, right? As males, we tend to take on a lot more stress on ourselves because we hold a lot of things in, because we keep a lot of things to ourselves. When I look at the female friendship circle, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
When you look at a female friendship circle, you know, they can pick up the phone and, you know what, mom, I'm going through a tough day today, or here's my best friend, I'm going to tell them exactly that what's happening. With men, we tend to keep everything in. We tend to hold everything in. It becomes more, I'm a man, I can take care of it myself. It's something that was put into our heads from a very young age, right?
Absolutely.
Something with the patriarchal mindset, as Dr. Shaira Umar in one of our previous shows beautifully put it to us. It's something that we were brought up with. Now we're keeping this inside. Surely that increases stress. When stress increases, our cortisol, which is the stress hormone, then also increases, and then that decreases our testosterone levels. But the scary thing is, yes, we know it comes with age. You know, we spoke about biological age just off air right now. And yes, it does come with age, but it's affecting young men at the moment as well. How damaging is it to keep everything in? How damaging is it to our biological system? How damaging is it to our psychological system?
It's an excellent question, and that in that question, there's so much of depth in that question. It's not just about one word answer to that, because it takes us to so many other aspects. Like you said, from a young age, the cultural bias under which we've grown up, this machoism that you must portray, you know. So even if you're going through a difficulty, even if you're going through some problem, no, you must just keep smiling and just keep acting like, no, I'm good. And you could be literally, you know, falling apart inside, but no, you feel like I shouldn't say anything about it, you know. And that's the sad part about the situation, that for many of these aspects, there's something that can be done for the individual. Maybe in the past was different, you know, you had to maintain that machoism, and then you find someone just eventually drops dead with a heart attack, you know, and then the family is left completely isolated.
But don't you think that past has led us to where we are today?
100%, 100%. That's why we're sitting with this problem, you know. But you know, what I find interesting, and I must say this is now of late, I would say over the last couple of years, I've noticed this in my practice. And maybe this is now because, like you mentioned, women can go back and say, okay, call a friend, call a mom, call this one, call that one. And then obviously the social media aspect as well. So now you're finding women are saying, but wait a second, you know what, doc? I noticed my husband, he's just not feeling right, man. He's not saying something. Something's not right about it. And maybe that's the saving grace here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because now they say, no, I'm not listening to you. I'm making the appointment for you. We're going to go together and see the doctor and discuss these issues, because from what I understand, from the wife's perspective, there's something that can be done for this.
Okay.
So you're getting that kind of responsibility from the female, which is also really amazing.
An important aspect.
And the women,
well,
I mean,
right?
women are multitask. They are the backbone of a home.
Right.
They're solid, you know what I mean?
Yes.
They can deal with situations,
Yes.
you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I find that a very, very promising sort of, development.
Right.
That at least they recognize, listen, this guy, he's not going to say, I know him. He's proud about himself.
Right.
But I'm going to help him. I'm going to assist him and get some help. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So I think that's the one aspect,
Right.
you know? But you're right. I mean, that cultural bias, that machoism needs to be addressed. Not that that your role in society must change. That, that you're not necessarily now supposed to be looking after your family, or
But it doesn't make you weak.
it
Doesn't make you weak.
Exactly, you said it perfect. It doesn't make you weak.
Right.
So don't think that if I'm going to seek assistance, suddenly, I've broken down now. People look at me like, you're weak. You're not a strong man. No, man, we must break that away. Because
Right.
why is that? Why is it so? I mean, mental health is like, if you have a problem, you're going to go seek some attention for it.
Yes.
So when you got some mental strain, when you're dealing with some mental issues, why, seeing it as a condition that I can be treated for, I can be assisted with.
Right.
That stigma that
Yes.
mental health, you like nuts or you
Yes.
crazy.
Yes.
Those terms which are not good to use.
Of
Right?
course
I mean,
not.
because it creates that stigma, and it comes with its own kind of bad vibe.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think I'm hoping to be breaking it. And
Right.
shows like this are meant to do exactly that. They be saying to a guy, listen, it's a private interview. You know what I mean? Who must know that you're going to go and see Dr. A, Dr. B, Dr. C? Who knows that? You come into an interview room with me,
Yes.
you're sitting down there. It's our private space. When a guy walks to my room, I get up, greet him at the door. Assalamu alaikum. Or if he's a non-Muslim,
Yes.
greet him appropriately. And we spend a few minutes just to break down the strain. And listen, I said to him, listen, this is a private space. It's a personal space. It's your space.
Right.
You know what I mean? Don't feel difficult to talk to me about something. Don't feel like it's a taboo now. Especially if you see a younger person,
Yes.
I don't want to give away my age, right? But there's something you feel like uncle. I don't like that. Anyway, so you say to the guy, listen, don't feel. I'm not going to judge you. And whether your mother or your father sitting outside in my room, no matter how conservative they may look, you may have an issue that they don't understand.
Right.
Because you're from this, what I'm saying, a typical.
Yes, I
You come in with a kurta and the typical conservative background.
It's a taboo topic to talk about when you have some sort of a sexual dysfunction.
100%. You can't talk about it.
Yes.
So I say to him, listen, let's forget about that. What we talk about here is not going to happen there.
Right.
This is me between me and you. You don't tell me what's wrong with you. I can't help you.
Does that help the men?
Absolutely. Because now, you know why? They feel more relaxed. You notice like suddenly sit back in the chair,
Because you've
sitting like
given them the
this.
support, right?
Yeah,
You've given them the support to say, listen, I'm here for you, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
Like your wife or your mom or whoever it may be from the female perspective,
Yeah.
they have a support structure. You now have a support structure in me where you can say, listen, doc, I've got these issues. Yes, it's psychological, or is it biological? What can it be?
Yes.
So we have a look at it now,
Yeah.
but you need to drop these masks. And I think Moetivation as a show itself is trying to break away from this mold that says that every man has to walk with a mask on. You can walk around with the biggest biceps or the biggest body, but underneath is just this little kid that's crying to get out. And it's a really sensitive topic to me when it comes to men's mental health, because I see so many men struggling to keep this I don't know what mask it is, whether it's an athletic mask, whether it's a stoic mask,
Yes.
whether it's a joker mask, but we tend to put a mask on to show the world, and we tend to hide the real self away from our partners, away from our children, away from our business associates, and everybody we meet, because they meet the mask and they don't meet the person. Have you seen in your profession that when they come, when they drop the masks, has it helped them?
Yeah.
How has it helped them?
100%. So first of all, because remember, when they drop that facade, or when they drop that thing that I can only be macho, I mustn't say I got a problem. When they suddenly say, you know what, okay, here's someone I can speak to, and I sort of give them a perspective, say, listen, understand how your body works.
Right.
Understand how Allah Ta'ala is wired us like this. It's not reinventing now. This is from time immemorial. People are existing. We didn't create something. Humankind is existing for centuries.
Right.
So we're not inventing something, but it's our lack of understanding that's the problem.
Okay.
And I said to him, listen, now as you sit in there now, think about it. Everything's wired from your brain. Your brain is a central command center. Now, it's not about for me to say, you know what, there's a lovely drug there's a beautiful, is an elixir for you. There's something. Just take it, and the problem is solved.
Right.
It's not going to get solved.
Let's find the root of the problem.
Exactly. So what's the point of me just writing a fancy script and say, you know what, pop a couple of pills, you know what, you'll be fine sexually, you're okay. But that's not the point. That's not the point. The point is, okay, let's understand you. Where you coming from? What's your stress level? What kind of work do you do? What's your home environment like? What's your pressure with your family? So then now I also know you better. Now I can understand where you're coming from.
From a psychological point of view, you can understand them.
Yeah. You have to do that. You know
Look, it is a touchy issue. I mean, we as men know, you and I sitting here, we know how many times we've held a lot of things in, laid in bed at night, and we thought to ourselves, you know what, this is my problem, and I need to sit here and I need to think about this problem, and only I can sort this problem out. And we didn't seek help. And I think a lot of men are struggling for a reason to go, number one, and secondly, for the ability to go. And I love that you brought the fact that women are the ones that are also bringing their partners in to sit down and talk, to say, listen, psychologically, he's not what he used to be. Energy-wise, he's always wanting to sleep. He's putting on weight. He's doing all of this. But when we come back after the break, we're going to get into all of those topics and how women can help men overcome these masks that they've put on. Join us after the break as we dive headfirst again with Dr. Salim Choonara. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Motivation. With me today, Dr. Salim Choonara. We're talking about men's mental health issues. Doc, surely there are men, like we said before the break, that walk into your office and they can't break this ice. Or women that have brought men in saying, hey, listen, I don't need to do anything. You know, men have this about them. I'm sure there's a story you can tell us that the viewers can relate to say, you know what, if I do have an issue, now is the time to sort this issue out. Can you share with us something?
Absolutely. You know, we were talking off air as well. One sort of case comes to mind. And the reason why I remember it so well, because I thought to myself, two issues with that situation. I mean, this was a couple, and a relatively young couple, you know. From my memory, serves me correctly, probably both under 40, you know, probably maybe even younger. And, you know, when I started talking to them and the husband and wife were sitting together, okay? And they were married for 10 years, okay? And sadly, because of a male issue, because of a male problem, they have not been intimate. So they've been together, but they haven't gone through the process of intercourse, to put it that way. You know, that intimacy has been lacking for 10 years, you know. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, now for a while I thought to myself, no, man, what are we doing wrong out there? Like, why is this person sitting here telling me a story like this? I mean, what have I been doing for the last 10 years then? What is my profession been doing for the last 10 years? What have society been doing for the last 10 years? That a family can sit like this and come 10 years later. Well, there's massive psychological burden. I mean, you can just imagine what must be the discussions between these people when they're together. What they're talking about. There may have been arguments. There may have been fights, or
of course, and the psychological issues that it causes at that point.
By that time already. No, now we're trying to say, let's try and solve this problem here now. It's not about the biological issue anymore. It's biological, it's psychological, it's about family, it's about pressures from family. We can't have kids, we haven't been intimate. How do you have a child? I mean, the consequences are massive.
And is this coming from a male who just didn't want to speak about it for all 10 years?
Yeah, so that's the impression that I got, that, you know, they were just willing to sit and live in that sort of, I'm going to say, conservative bubble. Not that I'm promoting someone to be extravagant in every aspect. But I'm saying, surely there's a little bit of understanding and a little bit of, appropriateness to a situation. Fine, you may come from a conservative background, understandable. But the Almighty didn't make intimacy haram. It's allowed between a husband and wife. What's wrong with it? There's nothing wrong with that.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? That's a part of your life. It's appropriate when you make nikah that you can be intimate. It's necessary for procreation. It's necessary to increase the ummah. Now, how can that concept of I'll be quiet because I'm from a conservative background make sense when it goes against the exact tenets of Islam? So rightfully and logically, you should say to yourself, listen, man, I mean, there's a problem here. Let me go seek some attention. Start somewhere. Start with your GP. Start with your social worker. Start talking to your trainer at the gym. You know, I mean, he's going to advise you what to do.
Of course.
You know what I mean? But if you keep quiet about it.
But again, it leads us back to our first topic, which is why men are keeping quiet. And this is something that I can't understand. And this is a mold that we need to break out of. You know what? I'm so passionate about men getting their masks off and becoming these real people to the world, because what's happening is that I find that men who haven't healed, men who feel that they can't talk about these things, men who hold everything in, are the men that create the biggest problems. I mean, I personally have been through a lot in my life where I've said to myself, I have to keep this to myself. I have to keep this to myself. And no, nothing's wrong with me. And I've got all these masks on and I'm perfect and everyone else is wrong.
Yeah.
And it's when I started peeling these layers off and I started taking these layers off and I said to myself, wait a minute, you need to first take care of yourself before anything can go right in your life. You need to pull away. You need to take care of yourself internally. You have to rebuild yourself. You have to unlearn all the norms of society that you had once learned and then put it all back together in some sort of a way where you went and you got the information that you needed to fix yourself, whether it's seeing a urologist, whether it's seeing a psychologist, whether it's seeing anybody in a professional field that can help you, whether it's just talking to a friend.
Absolutely.
The importance of taking it out is far more vital in growing a fixed society where men can actually say, you know what, okay, I don't want to talk to someone. And this is a message I want everyone to know. You don't even need to talk to someone. You can just take a journal and start writing it down. How important is it just to get it out? I mean, from a biological point of view, when people keep everything in, when someone is sitting and he's holding everything in, I mean, he's, like you said, the breadwinner, and he's trying to hold the family together, and he's got the stress, and he has the medical condition where he has an erectile dysfunction, or his energy levels are low. How important is it for someone to just let it out in some sort of a way? Is it something that can help with this? Is it a tool that people can use? Or is it something that I'm just saying to you, I mean, from a medical perspective, I'm asking you, is it something that people can use?
No, absolutely, Mo. I mean, like you said, whichever medium you're using, whether it's going to be expressive with somebody you know, or somebody who's trained in a particular field, or just your good friend, or just writing it down, or talking to your wife, or whoever's in your circle, already you're starting to, so you've said it, you've now expressed it. It's not there anymore. Now you've said it to somebody.
Yes.
And there's going to be a response. That person's going to say something, or maybe they may not say anything at that day, but maybe a couple of days down the line, they say, you know what, I'm so bothered about what my friend told me the other day. It's really bugging me. I need to help this guy.
Right.
You know, that kind of, you're going to get that. There's going to be people out there that's going to do that.
Yes.
And for me, the biggest thing is this. See, you're sitting there with this facade that, okay, I'm the breadwinner. I must be like this. I must keep everything good. I must just go and make sure that everything works well. But what happens now when something happens to you? How do you suddenly change the whole dynamic of your home? Why? Because you didn't realize that, listen, even the most beautiful car, the most fanciest car, still needs to get fuel, still needs a service. You didn't think about your own health. You say, for me to remain functional, it's a responsibility that I must take to look after myself.
Wow.
I mean, isn't that, in that responsibility, it's not about me and you just telling somebody. That comes from Islam as well. Looking after your health. I mean,
it's an amanat, right?
The Minister didn't have a tummy, you know.
Yes.
I mean, he looked after his health.
Yes.
What does it say about their longevity and about their functionality? So as a male, isn't it important for you to break down these stereotypes?
Of course.
So that you can actually be healthy, functional, energetic, jovial, happy. I mean, why is that not the option? I'm not understanding this. You know
that's so true. Tell me now. I mean, let's take the doctor out of it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Salim.
Yeah.
Surely you've had adversities that you had to go through. Surely you've had all of these problems that we're talking about as well, where you held it in and that. Have you found a way of letting it out? And I mean, if you can tell the viewers just a tool that you use on a daily basis just to let this out, because you deal with so much negativity coming in on a daily basis. How do you deal with this? And how do you keep your stress levels low? Because you always have a smile on your face and you're always full of energy. How do you do it? Is it medical? Is it diet-wise? Is it training-wise? What does Salim do?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I think from you know, one of the reasons why I'm studying urology, just very quickly, you know, I lost my mom at a very early age, and she had lots of urological issues and cancers and all kinds of fancy things, you know. And I always remember her doctor being a very good urologist who is late now, but was a fantastic human being. And you know, she always used to make a dua for me and say to me that, you know, I want you one day to be able to help people in a way that this doctor assisted me, you know. And I was telling my dad this earlier when I got to urology and I was doing an operation that my mom had. And I said to him, you know what? I now realize that dua that my mother made 15 years ago, I'm seeing the fruition of it right now, you know, because I'm sitting literally where she said, she had the exact problem, same operation, same everything, you know. But that inspiration has come from my family, you know. My obviously my father, my parents around me, my siblings, and obviously my wife, my kids, you know. when I leave home, when I leave work, I'm happy to be with them. We're in a safe space, we're in a good environment, hearing what they're doing, what's happening with them, what their desires are in life, where they're going with their life. And many, many times that I faced adversity, I've went to my wife as well and say, listen, what do you think? I feel she's much more strong mentally than I am. And so the support structure everyone needs, no matter what doctor you are, what professional you are, whoever you are,
Yes.
you need a support structure, something you can fall back onto.
Right.
But Mo, if I could single it out, I think, you know what, like I always joke with people, actually, I say to look, when I'm in theater, it's just like my Zen time,
Right.
I can spend hours there and I'm peaceful with myself,
Right.
But I think, what does it is that when you've done something for somebody, the dua and the prayer they make for you is from their heart. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it just touches you when they say something to you.
Right.
And you think to yourself, I'm not even deserving of this,
Right.
And the way they go out of their way to say such good things about you and to your family and make dua for you. And I always say to myself, inshallah, one day I'm hoping that in Jannah, one of my patients are going to look for me. I say, no, I'm looking for Dr. Choonara. I'm going to bring him here. So I'm hoping there's a ticket somewhere, So I think that does it for me, It inspires me. And always the thought that it was my mother's wish and her prayer for me. Honestly, that drives me. It just drives me to continue with what I'm doing. It's really motivation.
That is such a phenomenal, touching story.
Yeah.
Really is. And it seems that you understand the concept of when I walk into my home, my masks drop and I am with my support structure, and my support structure is going to help me do everything that I need. I drop the doctor and I become Salim. And I think every man needs to know that, yes, you can go out into the working field and dominate the working field, and you can appreciate everything that you do in that. Like you say, in theater, it's your Zen time. You go in and you love your work and you're passionate. But the support structure and the people you are with, drop the title and become that person. Yes, I'm motivation, but I want to be Muhammad with people. I want to be that inner child who comes out and has no reason whatsoever to put a mask on and say to the world, no, accept me with this mask. No, I want to say to the world, and I want men out there to say to the world, accept me for my inner child and who I am. Accept me for what I am, and accept me because I am trying to fix myself. Accept me because I know where my flaws are. Accept me because I know where my shortcomings are. Accept me because I am working on them. Accept me because I am a human being who will make mistakes. I am a human being who will falter. As women will always say, they falter. They know when they falter. They know when they're emotional. They know when they... Why can't men just accept that fact and understand that, you know what? We are human beings as well. We were built in a specific way with hormones. We were built in a specific way, wired to fire in a specific way. Understand that there's so many key aspects in being a man, and there's so much support that we have out there and that we need to look for.
No doubt.
When we come back next week, and we're going to do part 2 with this, because it's such an integral aspect of our society that needs to be dealt with. I really want to get into how to find a support structure and where to find a support structure.
Absolutely.
This show has been phenomenal this week. We're really getting into understanding the male mind and understanding the male body.